Coach, it's Coach Simpson. Appreciate you tuning to my YouTube channel. This is a part 2 of a drill series, kind of working through practice organization and going through ways to structure practice. So you may want to go back and watch the first video I put out. But this is a kind of a series of videos I'm going through on how to make effective practices as I'm trying to learn myself and get better and review things that we have done and hopefully maybe give you some ideas for things that you can do. I have a lot of materials on organizing practices, not just for my offense or in this offense or that offense, but just in general. Over at my website, I've got some templates you can go look at, fbcoachsimpson.com, or you can also I've actually got a book that just talks about practice organization. And while it does deal a lot with my offense, it has a lot of other materials as far as organizing your program, organizing a practice. And I'm coming out with one I'm excited for the defensive side of the ball. Talks about, again, the same deal with a lot of these concepts built in. So the first video we talked about drills, how to work effective drills. This video we're going to talk about structure, how to structure your practice so that it is effective. When we talk about pods, which I'll get through here a little bit on this video. And then finally situational, which I'll kind of talk about here on this video as well. We'll dive a little deeper on those two next videos that will be coming up on this YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you haven't already subscribed, you can subscribe to the channel and you'll get kind of alerts, I guess, when videos come up. Or if you'd like the video, I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to grow this channel, put as much free stuff as I can out for coaches. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about structuring practice. There's a lot of different ways to do this, and again, a lot of us are in different boats. So I don't want to get into the one-way or two-way players. I do have some materials available over at my website. If you want to see how we structure our practice with one-way players, two-way players, smaller team, bigger team, that's over there if you want it. That's not really what this one's about. So this is more general, kind of overarching themes that I think you can carry over to whatever flavor of program you're in. Big school, small school, youth level, high school level, junior high level, whatever, collegiate level, it doesn't matter. These are things that I think are important to look at. First thing is when we structure our practice, we do try to go big, small, big. I hit that a little bit during the drill section. We want our kids to know what's the general goals of our practice. Okay, some of them are just blatantly obvious, like we're getting ready to play a game Friday, so if we're in season, one of our big goals is to prepare for that team. Okay, but it could be other things. It could be, hey, our big overarching theme in this practice, especially when we get into situational football, is going to be 2-minute drill. Or hey, we're working these blitzes, we're working our pressure packages on defense. It could be talking about offensively where we want to work our red zone. That's kind of the big overarching theme. Okay, so we're going to make sure our kids all know that up front, and we may do something up front that matches that. A lot of times I like to try to match the special team if we're doing a theme. Like I said, we're doing red zone, we're going to want to work our extra point field goal team, extra point field goal block, 2-point plays. We may do those right up front at the beginning of practice to kind of get everybody's juices moving that direction, because that's our overall theme. Or we may be working a blitz package in the 3rd and long, so our special team might be punt team or punt block. So it kind of matches what we're trying to work as far as the situations. So the big up front. And then the big goals we have going into that practice, so our kids know we're trying to make sure these things get checked off so we're ready to win the game. Okay. Small is where we start working the skills. So we're going to start off big, overarching themes. Small, we're going to get into our individual part of the practice where we're going to break into small groups, as small as possible, and work through what we've got. And then finally, we'll end with big. You'll kind of go from small to big as far as the size of the groups. And a lot of times for us, the small to big is also the way the speed of the practice will work. You know, a lot of times when we're working indie, we want as small groups as possible. Again, I don't know what your situation is. For you, that might be splitting into 2. You may only have 2 coaches, or maybe you have 10, or maybe you have 16, or maybe from the state of Texas and you have 975. Whatever you have, we want our individual time to be as small as possible, as many groups as we can get, so they can get that hands-on work. And these need to be skills that we're trying to teach. We're trying to teach these skills working towards our theme. So there are some what we call like everyday drills. There's some drills we do that are going to help us win. That's just day one, and we're going to work those every day. Okay. But there are also going to be inside of this individual time skills that are going to help us be effective specifically for what we're trying to put in that specific practice. So for instance, if we're working 2-minute drill, our offensive line time, we probably need to have a pass pro set in there. If we're working, red zone offense, we probably need to go ahead and work blitz pickup or condensing our splits during that time, or cut blocks, or whatever we're going to do inside the red zone that may be a little different than other places. So that needs to be worked on in Indy, because that's the overarching theme, because it's going to come back again as we get to this situation. Okay? Pod time for us is a little bit different. It's kind of, we always had that weird, we'd have individual drills, and then we'd have kind of group time, which everyone does, and we'd have team, and we wanted to have another period there where we're kind of going, okay, we have some times where like our outside linebackers need to work with our safeties or corners on funnel coverage type stuff, or on screen fits, or on whatever, or maybe our outside linebackers need to go with our defensive line coach, because this team's going to be a heavy tight end team, and they need to work some 9 technique or whatever they're going to be doing there. So our pod time kind of becomes where we're putting those random groups of work together. Defensively, that could be, again, like I mentioned, linebackers. Sometimes we'll go with DBs, sometimes we'll go with D-line, whatever that looks like. Offensively, same kind of deal. We may be working we do a whole lot with our guards where they're in space blocking. Okay, we do a lot with our quick tackles where they're in space blocking. So we may, depending on what we're trying to work in that time period, have our guards with our running backs, so we're working on reading the block and making the cut. We may have our quick tackles with our quarterbacks, so we're working RPO game, or may have our quick tackles and guards, maybe going with the receivers, working like screen game. So it's just different things for us that match skill sets that they do. And in your offense, you need to kind of think through some of the concepts you do, or defense, where they need to have a different skill set, and that can be kind of where that pod time comes. Our kids really have enjoyed this. We've gone to this a lot because it seems to be a good time period where we're working specific skills. They understand why we're working them, and it seems to have been very effective for us. Then most teams are going to have a group time period. Again, pod, we're working skills for a certain specific technique or group that needs to work together. And then inside of our group period, this is a lot of times we're going to introduce or review, if we've hit it already, scheme. So it could be a blitz period for defense where hey, remember, these are our blitzes. Now we're going to work them here in group while the DBs are over there working whatever they're working. Or it could be offensively, hey guys, remember we talked about our splits on this play and that play and this play. We're going to review them right now while our running backs and rails are down there working whatever. So it's kind of, again, we're building up, real small group, a little bigger group. But we are kind of hitting scheme. It could be a review or an intro period here. We're starting to kind of talk about situations again. Today we're focused on red zone. These are the plays we like in the red zone. Here's kind of the splits we need to do for those, while the skill guys are working the same thing, but in a smaller group, talking about that situation. And finally, we usually end our practices, I think most people do, with a team session where we're going to work now scheme, and we're going to add in situations. We'll do a video here later on situational football, but this is where we are going to work. I don't like to have a ball be snapped, offense or defense, where there's not a situation. It could be hey, we're in the kind of middle of the field-ish area, but we're going to work hashes. We could be working third downs. We're heavy on working third and fourth downs. We're heavy on working red zone. We're heavy on working time management skills. So it could be 2 minutes, 1 minute, 4 minutes, 8, whatever it is. We want a situation, okay, to always be present for the offense and defense as well. But a lot of times defensively, it's going to be a scheme thing, where you're scripting. We're wanting to work trips plays, trips into the boundary, trips into the field. Okay, now we're wanting to work red zone defense. Now we're wanting to work kind of their 2-minute plays. So every time a ball is snapped in team, we want there to be some kind of scheme plus situation thrown on our kids so they get used to playing. So again, that's that big, small, a lot of coaching involved. Still a lot of coaching involved, but it kind of shrinking a little bit, bigger group. Less coaching involved, we do some scheme review, bigger group. Team, a lot of people out there, but now our coaches should be able to back away and let the kids make it happen and then correct as needed. So there should be a lot of heavy coach influence here. Shouldn't be as much here, because at this point, we're hoping we've done a good job the first part of practice getting it ready. So hopefully this can give you kind of an idea, just some general ideas on structuring practice. If you would actually like practice templates I've got, they're over at my website, fbcoachsimpson.com. Probably can scroll through this video, maybe find some other ideas. And then I've also got a whole book on practice organization, program organization. You can get it over at my website as well. Appreciate your time.